All right.
Yeah.
Let's get into San Francisco.
So that was a huge year.
Life-changing.
Yeah, life-changing for
keep
sure.
saying
Yeah,
that.
keep saying it.
Because at that point, my job had transferred me. So we were living in Boston.
Yeah.
I was with a company that could transfer me across the country. We were so excited to be in California.
We always wanted to live in California.
Yeah. So we were like jumping at the bits to get there. But at this point, you were working like an odd end job. You didn't have your personal training certificate, but I know we had individually not individually, we collectively talked about what you wanted to do as like a career. And I remember the first week we were there, you like got your personal training certificate, like right to the classes, like you had everything like
I've always just been obsessed with health and fitness.
Yeah.
And it's like what I wanted to do, and I feel like it was like one of those things where I had for at least all through high school and into college, basically, like I wanted to be a strength coach, wanted to be a trainer, but was like, nah, I should do something more realistic. I should get a job in finance or get a stable job that makes a lot of money. And then we kind of uprooted. It happened really fast. We had been talking about moving to California for a long time, and then all of a sudden it happened. And
within 2 weeks.
It was so scary. Yeah. All of a sudden, like, okay, you can move to California, and it's in 2 weeks, and it's the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So you're kind of right in the middle of the holiday season, and it's kind of terrible timing to move. But like once it was kind of like left the kind of comfortable, stable job I had, quit that and just moved across the country, and it was like, well, if I'm starting over, I'm going to start over with something that I'm passionate and excited about. And just started looking for places where I could train and just trying to figure out, like, all of a sudden we were in San Francisco and you'd go to work.
A place we had never been before.
We'd never been,
we
never
didn't
seen
know
the city.
one person there. And I think this also like, I say life-changing through like health and fitness. It was life-changing for our relationship as well, because we'd already begun the journey together, but now this was like so much on a whole nother level, where we didn't have the support from our friends and family that we were used to. We were away from the comfort of our own home.
We were thrown
into a new city, a new lifestyle, a completely, how different is the East Coast versus the West Coast? Just foreign territory.
San Francisco is different from everywhere.
Yeah.
So just in general, it's gonna throw you for a loop. But coming from kind of Boston, where it's so like old and like blue blood, and I'll say conservative, because once you get to San Francisco, it is you realize Boston is not as liberal as people say it is. But we just kind of had no idea what was going on. But
and then you got, like you said, you got your certificate, you started training at the gym, and where we lived had a gym in the building.
Yes.
And that was my pivotal moment, because once, not that I didn't trust you before, but like that extra added like certification of like, okay, he's now
so she didn't trust me. And then once it was official, once there was a piece of paper that said I was a personal trainer.
I guess, and I remember, oh gosh, this was like, again, like just like how much you loved me. Like you would literally, we would get up at 5 a.m. to go down to the gym to train for an hour before because I needed to be at work. I need to be at work by 7:30. Like I had an 8 a.m. meeting that I needed every day. So we were up so early in the morning, and you got up with me. You didn't even need to.
You were my first client.
Yes. Yeah. I was the guinea pig.
That's
what started
for sure a guinea pig.
Off the guinea pig. But that's how I began to realize, okay, first off, Dan knows what he's talking about. And was really my introductory to lifting weights, because I had free weights, we had barbells, we had
dumbbells,
kettlebells,
TRX in there.
Yes.
It was a cool little gym. There's a bench,
and it was usually just
simple.
us in there because it was so
5
early.
in the morning. Nobody on the West Coast was awake at 5 in the morning.
Yeah, so that's kind of how you taught me to really understand what building muscle and the different movements that I could do with my body could be beneficial. Now, if you remember, we still weren't eating that great.
That's true, yeah.
We were still in the mentality of, I was having cereal for breakfast a lot, just things like that. Because easy, quick, again, like I was still working 10-hour days. It was the same job. And now like my commute had doubled. So I really I felt like I was barely home. I was beginning to understand like meal prep and like figuring out that, but I still was like, we were still doing, I think, what most people would normally do, and it basically surviving off of what we thought were healthy foods. And I feel like we were eating pretty good. It just wasn't to the point where we are at now, but I was still diligently counting calories. And that, I think, was really difficult for me to step away from because of the way that Beachbody was set up to count the calories to get the results that I wanted. And I had, unfortunately, a frame of mind in a really control. It was a control thing that I could do.
It's definitely control. I was going to say that.
Because you were not like that. And I remember like asking you like certain things like, okay, but like this brand of cereal is going to be better than this brand, right? Or this brand of, packaged food is going to be better than the other. Because your evolution and your research through all the blog posts, the reading the magazines, the health and fitness, you were years ahead of me. Yeah. And it's almost like I didn't want to believe you in the sense of, do you remember that?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And I think I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you were still chasing that first, whatever,
the initial,
the first beach, whatever the workout was.
Yeah, the insanity workout.
Insanity. So you were still chasing the results that you had gotten in that first 60 days or whatever it was. And where that was all like so strict, such strict calorie counting, really, really high intensity, like cardio circuit workouts. And I think there was some resistance in the beginning where it was like, oh, we're going to slow your workout way down. And you're going to be, doing, goblet squats and, bench press and rows and hip thrusts. And we did it started adding in, that kind of stuff. And I think that it's something probably a lot of people run into, where you can do a really, really good workout and you're not dying. You're not dripping sweat.
Yes.
You're not a disaster when you're walking out of the gym. So you don't think you accomplished something.
100%. Because I would be dripping sweat doing those insanity things where I'd be like ripping off my shirt, so I just had my sports bra on. I would make sure I would be dripping sweat, and I could not agree more. I was like, wait, I'm not really sweating. Is this all right?
Exactly.
But mind you, my heart rate was up. It was just a very different.
You were just working differently.
Yeah.
But it's like we said before, like you had become really, really efficient at high intensity interval training. And now we're throwing something completely different at you, but we were kind of playing the long game. We were setting you up to build muscle so that you can get into that cycle of burning more calories throughout the day, just being healthier, being stronger, being able to do more.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of resistance. I think there was resistance against that. Still a little bit of that. I don't want to get too bulky, especially in the beginning. And then I think I would call an addiction to my MyFitnessPal.
Oh my God! Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, I used to log in the calories diligently.
Yeah.
I would look at the thing 15 times a day.
Yeah.
Yes,
I remember you had a ridiculous streak of consecutive days.
Yeah, because it keeps tally. You did this for a week straight, or now it's 10 days, and I think I was on at day 1,000 or something. For years I did that.
Yeah, and I think it had been, for me, I hadn't counted calories at that point for probably 5 years, or really paid much attention to it besides knowing
So how would you say obviously we're in San Francisco, you were beginning to get clients, but I would say I was certainly your first client. Beneficial, having the perspective that I was giving you, because what was it like
absolutely,
getting my quirky, crazy.
I think it was all common things.
Yeah.
So it really prepared me, because I did because I had always been obsessed with fitness.
And an athlete, you were surrounded
Yeah.
by people who also liked it.
Yeah, so I would have friends to work out with every day. Like especially even in high school, like the friends I grew up with, like we would train together. Like that was what was fun for me, is like even when it wasn't like in season or workouts we had to do, like me and Brian would be in the gym working out, would be out on the track running sprints. Like that was exciting and fun. And then I got to college and it'd be like even spending the summers on campus where all we'd do is work and work out and eat. So my perception of training and working out, I think, is very different than the average person who's like, oh, I've never worked out before, I want to try getting in shape for the first time. Where that's what I was doing when I was 10. So it's a little bit of a disconnect where I think you keep me grounded in so many ways, but especially there where it's like, oh, okay, I got to learn firsthand. I got to get a lot of reps in coaching when I didn't have a lot of clients. So I was able to get up every morning and like basically practice before I went to work.
Yeah.
And then I noticed as I started getting more and more clients, the same things keep coming up. It's like the same issues, the same diet, the same reluctancy to want to do things, the same like, are you sure this worked? Because I'm not dripping sweat. And it's like, no, it's okay. Like we'll be back tomorrow. We'll do it again. Like the little things are going to add up. So I had that perspective. I understood. And then being able to work with you helped so much. And then just slow, like that whole year was a lot of like kind of cutting my teeth, learning. I lost a lot of clients. I did a lot of stuff like, oh man, I feel so bad looking back at those clients because I was just training them like some young meathead who didn't know what he was doing. So I do like, it's in the past, and I learned, and like the best thing, like I learned so much because I was training a lot at the time and teaching a lot of different people. And there's so many things that I've learned over the last, like it's been like almost 10 years now, or 8 years, I think, as a personal trainer. Like I've learned so much, and even the things that I was doing myself, like my workouts back then, I would love to go back and shake that guy and be like, no, don't do this. We're not going to do this. Because there's so much better, more sustainable ways to do it. But I think that year, just in general, I learned so much about training. I learned so much about nutrition. I learned so much about, I guess, like psychology. Like that's such a big part of being a trainer, where like they don't really tell you when you're becoming certified as a trainer. Talk a lot about sets and reps. They talk a lot about like linear progression and getting stronger over time. They don't tell you that 80% of your job is going to be listening to people's problems and trying to figure out where the stress is coming from, what's holding them back. Because that was what I really didn't have at the time, was the understanding of the role that stress played, like everyday chronic stress. That if somebody had a terrible day at work, or if somebody's grandmother just died, or whatever it is, if like somebody's going through a lot of stress, and then they'd show up and I'm like, oh great, we're just going to work right through it. This is like endorphins, everything's going to be great. And it's like, these people are already so beat down and so broken that shouldn't have been deadlifting, or shouldn't have been squatting heavy. It should have been, more movement and, something a little more free, and something that's going to help them feel better.
That totally makes sense.
So that was a huge part of like kind of learning how to be a trainer for me. And I definitely got that. I got a lot of that from you as well, because I got to see firsthand what your life was like all day. Seeing, like, I'd see you early in the morning, and then a lot of times that was like the only time I saw you. But I get to hear about your day, the previous day, and find out and realize the correlations, where it's like, oh, you're super stressed, and that's why you're tired, and kind of learning that kind of stuff was huge.
I think it was really pivotal to like what you're saying in regards to meeting all walks of life. Like, remember, we're coming off of basically our childhood homes. Like, even though we were living away from our parents and together, like we were very close. We were still in the bubble of our comfort. And so being able to now be in a different city, and especially my job where I was in like a melting pot of different people from all around the country, let alone the world, understanding their cultural backgrounds, their psychology, their stories, getting to know them, what foods they eat and things like that, like how they were brought up. All of it plays into like our furthering the investigation of health and wellness, because then it started to click like, oh, wait a minute, you've never even heard of this, this, and this, which is like an East Coast thing? Like, I didn't know that. And then it just like snowballed into like, I feel like we were like investigative journalists for like health and wellness, because we were able to take so many different variables from the people that we were meeting that weren't, again, in like that East Coast bubble of ours, that they had taught us so much, and we were like, okay, yeah, we know all these things, and it was like, whew, being thrown into something new, and I was like, oh my gosh, wait till we explore this option and this option. And then as we began to like grow and get healthy and stuff, people were beginning to notice too, which was really like encouraging for us. And it was like, just got the wheels turning. Like, you began helping our friends there, and like I would like be so excited to like give new recipes and share new things that I had learned, and that was like, again, like kind of like the next step on the building of the momentum that was like really life-changing.
Yeah, it really like that year rapidly picked up like the evolution.
Yes.
Because we had so many ideas, we had so many different like diverse
people in our lives.
Cultures, like mentalities, everything was new, and it was sort of like a good chance to just sort of like leave behind what we were so comfortable with for our whole life and dive into all these new things and find out that there are other ways out there. There's other ways of learning. There's other ways of eating. There's other ways of living. And I feel like it's so nice to just have that experience with all these different people and different walks of life.
Yeah.
So that really, like I said, that really sped up the evolution. And then we were also like, because we were I sort of hinted at before, we had a weird schedule because you were working a kind of a typical like long days, but like it's just a typical corporate job. I was I was a trainer, right? Terrible, So as a new personal trainer at a gym, I get the shitty hours that nobody wanted. So it was like, my work day was like from
3 to
noon, or like depending on the day. Yeah. It'd be like noon until 8, but all spread out.
Yes.
So I'd have like a session at noon, a session at 3. A session at 5, like just kind of all spread out.
And then that like rush of work people, like after work.
And then the
people,
after work crowd. So I'd have a 5:30, 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, or whatever it was. So most night, like I would go to work at noon and I wouldn't come home until 10. Elise would have made dinner. It would be waiting for me, and then she'd go to bed.
Yeah, I would be in bed at like, well, I'm in bed at that time now too, but like at like 8, because we were getting up so early for you to train me in the mornings. Like, if I was
your day was
8,
ridiculous.
8:30,
such a long day. But we were on such a different schedule. So I would train you in the morning. A lot of times I'd just go back to bed for another, like, because it would be like, by the time we finished, it would be like
6?
Like 6:30 or something like that. I'd go to bed until 8, and then from 8 until noon, I was kind of able to just dive into like blogs and podcasts. That's where I kind of found podcasts, and was able to learn, like just absorb knowledge, I think, and study for like 4 hours before I had to be anywhere. And that was the time when things really started clicking, or like the wheels definitely started turning as far as like food quality over like quantity.
For sure.
Yeah, I think the introduction, that was like, I found like Mike Dolce and stuff he was doing. With like 3 weeks to shred it, and like the way that like everything that he talked about was food quality. And it was so, like light bulbs just went off, and it's like, oh, like it makes sense. We're not machines. We're not just gonna run on a specific amount of fuel. That it actually matters. Like the food that you eat is turning into the cells that make up your body. So you're gonna be able to create much better cells with like a steak or real food than you would with like a Snickers bar.
For sure.
So I kind of really started changing my perspective on that, and I think we started focusing more on.
Yeah, I remember
sort
you
of what we were buying.
Yeah, I remember you pointing that out to me when in the grocery store, like the eggs that we're buying, the meats and stuff. We were switching. We were beginning to really pay attention to the ingredients and the quality,
and
make
grass-fed beef,
make sure everything is like organic, because we really weren't buying, even though we were buying fruits and vegetables, we didn't correlate the importance.
Yeah, I thought organic was a scam. I thought it was I thought it was all just nonsense to sell stuff for a higher price.
Yeah.
And then I started really started changing my perspective, and that was a huge part.
Yeah, and that's, I think, when once you began to have that knowledge and could relay it in a way that I could understand, because you were better understanding it too from all of the health experts, then it started to click, like, okay, deciphering, what you mean by real food versus processed food. Then I stopped. That's, I think, when I stopped eating like the cereals and, buying certain packaged stuff. That was a really pivotal moment. And I would classify it as like really exciting, because I would say both you and I almost thrive off of change. Like we're not afraid of it, or at least
You're better than I am.
Okay, yeah.
I'm definitely more reluctant. I'm always grateful for it. I always once we make the jump, I do love it. I think I do thrive on the excitement of it, but I'm a lot more likely to be like, all right, no, we're gonna stay right here. We're in a good spot. Let's not change it. And that's one of the greatest things that I've gained from being with you is nope, we're going. And it's shit, I better keep up. She's already gone. I need to go. And that was, like you said before, the move to California.
Yeah.
I wanted to live in California my entire life. And then when the time came, it was all right, 2 weeks. Ooh, why don't we wait till it's a better time?
Oh my gosh, wait, now
I'm so scared.
I kind of want to segue, because I was going to say, we weren't in San Francisco for that long either. We keep saying we were really just there a year and a half, maybe a little bit less than a year and a half. That brings up a funny story I remember. I don't know if you remember this.
No idea where you're going with this.
So, we're just, again, on the long same lines, because it is flowing into our move to Southern California. Yes. Once you began teaching me and introducing me into whole natural foods, we were at this point about to leave. We were leaving at this point to move down to LA, where we are now. But I had, in the newness of moving to San Francisco, I did realize I didn't love the job that I was in and wanted to be my own boss, and just being in California, I didn't want the office life, and I transitioned to real estate at that point. I had gotten my license when we were in San Francisco, because it didn't matter where we were within the state. Having a California real estate license, you could practice anywhere. So in the back of our mind, we had always known we wanted to be in Southern California. And I remember after I passed the exam and got certified, I think the next day or 2 days later, I began setting up interviews with different companies. Yeah. I flew to LA literally within one day and interviewed with a bunch of companies. And then I was offered a position at one of the companies. And I remember calling you, I think at work, saying I had just spoken to the manager. I'm going to take this position there. We can start. I think it was within 3 weeks or something. And you were like, wait a minute. Don't you think we should have a better plan? And this is, and I was like, for what? For what reason? It's the same thing. I knew in my heart of hearts, this is where we're going. This is what we wanted to do. We had always wanted to be in Southern California. And I basically just forced you to move down to Southern California. Do you remember that?
I absolutely do. It's so funny, because I think living in LA has been my dream since I was young. I've always wanted to be out here. Love the weather, love the beaches. Just wanted to be here. And had no desire to go to San Francisco. It was just we had never even thought of San Francisco as an option. And then we got there, and it turned out to be pretty great. And we had, what you said, such an amazing year. but it's hard to become a personal trainer. Like, it's easy to become a personal trainer. It's hard to become a successful personal trainer. And I spent like a year finally building up
you were in your groove and you had a stable
so I
clientele.
finally had stable like income coming in for the first time. And I was like, okay, good. Now I have money. Now we can start saving up for our move to LA. And you're like, okay, 3 weeks. And it's like, whoa, why don't we like save up money? I remember when you said you were leaving, you were offered a raise. And, so it was like, wow, between both of us, we can make so much more money. And we can say, but like, that's exactly what I was saying. Like you're like, all right, well, I'm going. Like, so I backed up when we moved to LA. I was going to say before, to backtrack a little bit, like we started moving toward much higher quality foods and thinking about that. But it's like, it's still a really, really long process.
Yeah.
I mean, I would eat peanut butter and jelly every day.
Yes, you would.
Every day. I mean, I ate...
If we didn't have peanut butter, where's the peanut butter?
Yeah.
Do we not have any peanut butter?
I ate at least 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and then eventually I transitioned to peanut butter and banana, which was a part of my healthier thing. So it was like, so for basically every day through probably high school, college, and then the next however many years that was, the next 5 years after college, I ate at least 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every single day. And then as started getting to like realizing that higher quality foods were important, that like your regular like hydrogenated peanut butter is so bad for you, that bread is bad for you. So I basically transitioned to like Ezekiel bread, like sprouted grain bread, organic peanut butter, and organic bananas. But it was the same thing. Like I can't remember the last time I ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I barely remember like my last sandwich. I don't like.
Right.
And I only remember it because it's like a once a year thing.
Yeah, but that was
the
step
process.
above like what we were doing, and it was really exciting because then we were able to switch over to those. For packaged foods, they are of the highest quality.
Exactly.
Like Ezekiel bread, by far is like what we recommend to people who need sandwiches and breads and things like that. Natural peanut butter that the only ingredient is peanuts and maybe a little bit of sea salt. That's amazing.
Right. So that's why I just wanted to point that out there. Like none of it should be clear by listening to this whole story that none of this is an overnight thing.
Yeah.
This is a long process that ideally, I think as coaches, like we've made so many mistakes that now we can hopefully save you. So, you know,
save you the headache.
All the mistakes, and like we made the mistakes so that you don't have to, and that this can be, you know, we can save 10 years off your process. But for us, I just wanted to kind of relay that when they talk about better quality food, it was a lot of like better options of the same thing. Yeah. It wasn't overhauling our entire diet overnight.
And we weren't restricting ourselves. Again, like that's what we want to be able to share people, because we had, or at least I had the mentality of calorie restrictions, macro counting. Like I was constantly like afraid of if I didn't hit my calories or if I went over, like I was punishing myself. So being able to have the mindset of freedom, food freedom, like we talk about, is exactly what, you know, what I needed at that point in my life to keep me going forward. I was still, unfortunately, not in the mental state that I am today. It took me much longer to get to that point, but it was such a rewarding aspect to know that there are ingredients from packaged foods that can be better than other ones, and that's where we can help other people decipher that, because it's of the utmost importance. We say this all the time, because I had the mentality of I need to work out 4 hours a day so that I can eat anything I want, and you totally shifted my perspective. Is that it's unfortunately the harsh reality of it, that's not the way it works. That's you can't outwork a bad diet. You can't punish yourself for that. You have to treat it with respect and dignity, and give yourself time to change. Because I wanted the quick fix too. I always, oh my gosh, I used to take diet pills when I was in college. Remember, like everything was a quick fix for me. And I think the biggest takeaway that I got from you in San Francisco and then moving to LA was, it's a process and it takes time. And once I relinquished my need to want a quick fix immediately, I embraced the change and the momentum going forward,
Yeah.
because it built upon itself, and then one step led to the other, one step led to the other, then it was investigating more and changing this, and it's all trial and error. It's because some things worked for you that didn't work for me, and vice versa too.
Exactly.
Everybody's different.
Yeah.
And that's what gets us so excited when we work with clients, because everybody's different. No one is made up the same way. And it's kind of like puzzle pieces and figuring out, but it's so rewarding to get to that point of, once you figure something out that works, it's like, oh, okay, what's the next thing that's going to work? And it's really like so exciting.
Yeah, when you notice how good you feel, that's when you really start to pick it up. Because I think, like, for me, like, going back to like changing the sandwiches, like just really changing the quality of the ingredients of the food I was eating. Yeah. I was like, oh wow, like,
you felt better.
I feel so much better. I have so much more energy. I sleep better. Wow, like there's something to this, and it's like as those wheels start turning, it becomes like, what else can I fix? Which basically is what got us to where we are now and where we're going. Yeah, is this, I don't know, this question, like what can I change next? And that is also, to bring it back to another thing we were talking about before, something that I am really good at. I'm the big changes. Yes. Can scare me. I do. And I think it's just part of my nature. Or
of course, change is difficult.
I do have that sort of like conservative like streak of like, okay, this is good. Let's be really comfortable for a little while. But also the little changes, I love. I love to ask questions.
I was just gonna say, you question everything.
Yeah, and that's something that's probably a whole episode in itself, to go into why I question everything and where that's gotten me. But yeah, I do. I literally like, oh, that's better than that. Why is that better than that? What makes that better? Oh, if that's what's making it better, then what do you think about this? And then I can study and look into things, and I love finding new information, and then I never trust it. I always want to try.
We have to implement it ourselves. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So you have to be able to test it out on ourselves, but that's what we've done. That's because we have to know for ourselves before we advise anyone else to implement the changes.
So I think that is definitely something that we've both gotten really, really good at. It's just sort of like, okay, now we have a pretty good idea where we're at baseline. What if we do this for the next 30 days? Yeah. And then you learn so much about yourself by cutting out gluten for 30 days, cutting out dairy for 30. We've tried all this stuff.
We've done all of it.
Slowly reintroduce things. Yeah. And I love that. Like I think you said before that we were like basically like investigative journalists. Yeah. And I think that's the best way to go through life. At least it is for us to like keep trying new things and experimenting and finding what works. And then when something doesn't work, it's not the end of the world. Get rid of it. Yeah. Take what works, apply it, and then find something else to experiment on. And I think that's kind of like that period of our lives in a nutshell, where we got to experiment with a lot of things really fast, because there was so much new, so much being thrown at us, so many environments that we weren't comfortable in. But we made like unbelievable friends. We like learned about a new city. We learned how to live in a place. We were alone. Like we had been together at that point for however many years. I can't keep track of the time.
Maybe
but since high school.
Yeah, right.
And then all of a sudden we were alone together. Right. We didn't have the same friends to go out with every weekend. We were sitting at home or going out alone and doing things like we were just kind of forced to ramp up our relationship at the same time that we were like learning all these other things. We got so much more closer, so much we were able to open up to each other about things more so and learn from each other more. I think those are the benefits of change and taking chances and learning things.
Yeah, and I think that it's an added benefit when we're doing it together, because we've had the experience together and the partnership to learn and grow and be able to have the different perspectives from yourself versus myself, because we are so different. We grew up different. We had different mindsets and mind frames around working out, healthy eating, and everything. So we're able to give that additional, perspective to the people that we work with and how we can incorporate it. But yeah, I think that that's like, in the nutshell, that's really how we began this journey. And we didn't even get into when we moved to LA, but that's another episode, because it continued as we moved down to Southern California too. But the changes that came within San Francisco, again, like really life-changing, and just like really in the best way possible. And like, aren't you so glad that we jumped off that cliff right to San Francisco? Like we would not, I always think about this. Imagine if we never left and stayed in Boston. Like, what would we be doing? Would we have gotten to this point of, our health and wellness business, or would we just be complacent? It's just interesting. It is, I'm so grateful every day for how we've overcome the obstacles and the changes and the challenges and really scary aspects of life to bring us to where we are now.
I think that's why we're both so passionate about coaching, because it's like, once you see those benefits, just like I was saying before about like, once you start eating healthier food and feeling better, it's like, one thing is, I want to keep doing this, but also like, I want to scream from the rooftops. Like, you guys know that like, you can just eat organic, natural peanut butter instead of like Jif, and you're going to feel so much better. And that's just such a small step. Like, you have to stir it. That's how much harder it is. But like, after a week, like, you realize, oh, this tastes so much better. And then like, think about like how many bigger steps you can take, whether it's diet, training, just mindset, breathing, meditation, sleeping, like all these little things add up, and I want everybody to experience it.
Yeah, well, that's what we're doing, babe.
Here we are. That's what a deep life is, right?
We're going so deep. Yeah, this is like the surface level of the deep right now.
You just wait.
We're gonna get deeper and deeper each episode, but that in a nutshell is our little journey, and we're really excited to share the rest with you.